Are we live? This picture has not gone.
For 30 seconds record will take. Yes, we are live.
Are we live, Suyash? You're the
Yes,
host
yes, we are
today.
live. We can go.
Cool. Hello, guys, and welcome to Tuesday Talk with iThrive team and iThrive main. So, iThrive is actually headed by a woman, a very fantastic woman, and the majority of our team members are girls. But we thought we should take up this topic, and the team is back. So I'm joined by Rusty, who is popularly known as Rusty. His name is Sachin, and Suyash, who is like in any woman's dream man. So we are talking about toxic masculinity. We will be talking about all sorts of issues that men face. At the same time, we are also going to look at how this, some kind of response to the feminism movement is coming in the form of which is harming the men's right movement itself. So we are going to look at all the aspects of masculinity and why it is called toxic, because it is toxic to the male community first, then it is toxic to the other gender. Like even if you are going to be, defending your own gender, or if you are going to defend the opposite gender, everyone is going to get affected, and the entire society or the social impact is enormous. That's why we are going to talk about in the context toxic masculinity. We are not going to hide from any topic or any subject. We are going to take all the issues head on. Why we should cry, why we shouldn't cry, why we should cook, why we should not cook. Anything to do with the stereotyping the men, the stereotyping the boys, the conditioning that they underwent. All these topics we are going to take head on in this particular discussion. Request audience to keep sending their question. We will try to take them as much as possible. So let's start with the fundamental thing. Why do we call it a toxic masculinity? Why it has to be a toxic thing? Let's start with Joy, every woman's dream man. Yes, Suresh.
Yeah, so in my opinion, like toxic, like I'll start with few examples, right? From the childhood conditioning itself, we are born and brought up, and we have said always that man needs to be a man, shouldn't be crying. They always needs to be ahead, no matter what happens, even in the family. So that pressure itself, and suppress and repress a lot of different emotions itself in the body, and that's where a lot of negative effects start to happen, and a lot of toxicity starts to build up. And that masculine energy, which is what we use, I think, for growing, and for creating, and for a lot of different stuff that start to go in only one direction, and that start to grow. So in my like opinion, it's majorly when you just feel start to upset or justifying abusive or inappropriate behaviors, with the phrase like boys will be boys, or like aggressively complete and dominating others, and encompassing the most problematic things in the male society. So I think that's where it starts to create toxicity. So just to give that glimpse itself, I think you can add your comments as well.
Yeah, yeah. Suresh, that is wonderfully put. Rusty, your take on why do we call it toxic? Like, I have seen your social media post. I have seen your action right now. The way you are, wearing something which is cool. You represent lots of.
I'm not wearing because it's cool, because it protects my eyes, the melatonin, a lot of
No
science
problem.
behind it.
No, no, no.
Yeah.
It's okay. You look cool. In addition
Thank
to it,
you.
it's protecting
Of
your
course,
eyes.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So with the advent of social media, especially the Twitter where you can be anonymous and post a lot of stuff against
Yeah.
whatever you have on your mind, which has been repressed for quite a long time. In the there was a lack of a medium or a platform. where people could express themselves freely without a fear of
Right.
retribution. Now, with that context, there is so much of thoughts or so much of material which is being pushed in the name of masculinity, which is really borders on the verge of violence, like a verbal violence kind of thing. So, how far that is justifiable, how far it is required, how far it is important for men per se to show their masculinity in a way which actually puts other gender down or which actually puts other people down.
Yeah, am I audible? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think this term toxic masculinity. Uh, See, masculinity is definitely not toxic. This is an attribute uh, which is given to us, which we get from our biological sex. Now, that is not the problem. The problem right now we are facing in this current society is the lack of it. Okay, the problem is weak men. This modernism and the low testosterone levels. This is what has created the society of weak men. Weak men, for example, is what we call incels. Okay, if
Hmm.
you go around the internet, you'll find shit tons of examples
Okay.
of this.
I
And
I
then,
will take your word for it.
sure. And then you will see them in the comment section, they agree with whatever the other gender is saying, because even though they know that that might not be right, right? Because, and they are doing that just because they want to get laid, right? And what they don't realize is even the women see that, okay? And they are not never going to get laid, okay? So now this creates frustration, okay? And now these, we all know like what frustrated weak men, they do all kind of crazy things with respect to a
Yeah.
contentment. Yeah. And so
Hmm.
yeah, I'll say it's the declining T levels in the last 50 years, which has caused the decline, and which even let this term toxic masculinity come into the play, because 100 years back it was just masculinity. There was no term called toxic masculinity. Yeah. And if you want to go deep down inside what has happened in the last 50 years, I'll be happy to, you know,
No problem. We will do another live show for that. But let's stick to
sure.
this particular topic about masculinity itself. Why do we need to showcase your masculinity? Your masculinity is not something to you have to be showing off, or you need big muscles. You need to be cool looking. You need to be always in that protector kind of mode. I am the protector of a woman because they are not capable of taking care of themselves, all and hiding behind something and always showing
No, again,
aggressiveness,
I will say that's a
language,
stereotype. That's a stereotype you're
yeah.
creating, because see, a man is supposed to be free.
It actually it started coming up last decade or so when people started talking about 56 inch ki chati and all that.
Uh-huh.
So all those things are adding to what masculinity is being perceived as, which is
Right.
something detrimental to the other sex or detrimental to the society at large. But masculinity per se itself is not something which needs to be shown off. It doesn't mean to be being aggressive. It doesn't indicate violence. So, Suyesh, what in your opinion, like you are such a sweet, charming, and good boy image you carry. So, what is your idea of what masculinity should be like? What are those attributes that people should show off rather than showing their brawn and head without a brain?
Thank you so much, Avinash, for those kind words.
Yeah.
As I told, like I wasn't someone who embraced all that stuff. It was inbuilt, and it was in nature to me. So what I how the as far as I understand, until unless you embrace your feminine side, you'll not be on in touch with the complete man picture. So you need to embrace your feminine side. Everybody has its their own feminine side, right? But what happens is when you are under society, or when you are maybe certain model relationships conditioning, you just start to suppress that feminine qualities, and then just focus on their masculine qualities, because it is supposed to be good, like it's supposed to be it's like it's the if you see the word mard itself shows that that you like you will like to call from that. No man likes to be kind, or no man like to be called as in the society itself, that that they need to be with the like crying stuff, and all those stuff. So qualities which I really love, especially to embrace both of the sides, are majorly like I try to make sure I'm as much as grounded as possible. That's the very first stuff, because if you see the masculinity, that's on the other side, right? You are not grounded, and you have your too much ungrounded stuff. So grounding, secondly being kind, embracing your own emotions, because a lot of masculinism, or men's, lot suppress their emotions, suppress their feminine sides. That's where they start to have a lot of ego issues and other stuff. And then being kind, making sure whatever emotions you have, you need to share with your partner, or like with whomsoever you're working, and being honest to yourself, your emotions as well, right? So I think like those are certain qualities which I abide with, and I make sure that whenever I'm especially uh, talking with anyone, no matter like if it's a woman or a girl, like I try to make sure that I embrace my feminine side, so that I can best understand them and become their healer and help them heal. I think that's how, that's my the whole nature is towards that.
Avinash, you still there?
I think Avinash networks dropped.
All right. Hmm. All right. Anyway, I'll continue. That's not a problem. I think Suyash, I totally agree with you. Every man has both the sides,
There is some
And
issue with the
I'll
network.
say,
Yes.
yeah,
He's back.
sure, no problem. I'll continue though. So every person on this planet, every human being, basically, okay, he has both the sides. He's got the masculine side. He's got the
Right.
feminine side. Even the same with the women. They have feminine side and they have masculine side too. So now that's the whole thing. That's the whole game. You have to understand how it is working out for you, and then you have to embrace those experiences. These are just
Sorry.
experiences we are living through this 3D body, right? So you need to, you know, understand and then just
Embrace
figure
it.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotta embrace it. But what I'm saying is, a man is predominantly masculine and has got little bit of feminine traits. Yes, the same is true for the woman.
Yeah, exactly.
She's feminine majorly and she's got few masculine traits here and there. But what is happening in the society right now is, this spectrum, okay, this spectrum, this masculine here and this feminine here, we are coming towards the center, like, whatever you want to call it, all this conspiracy agenda, whatever these people are trying to do,
Mm.
they are bringing it to the center. Okay.
Mhm.
Now that's where the problem is. That's where all the problem arises, because women and men are now competing with each other instead of being the yin to the yang. Yeah. I mean, I can give you tons of examples of why, like, why masculinity does more good than bad. And
Okay.
I'm not even
Go ahead.
talking
Go
about,
ahead. Go ahead,
I'm not
Rashmi.
even,
Give us few examples.
sure. I mean, and we are not even talking about like little bit more. For every bad deed a bad man does, okay, there are thousand good deeds which are carried over by masculine men every day, and we can see the examples every day in our life. uh, you know just because there is evil and malice which is everywhere, literally you cannot escape from it. But this to live in the society where majority of men which are publicly shamed for the crimes of minority of the bad men is damaging the mental health of these people, of the majority of the people, and they
Okay.
are losing their sense of purpose all over the world. Okay.
Fair point.
And especially when the underlying biological traits, okay, of the male species are being labeled as the cause of these evils, it also takes away all the beautiful things they are doing every day. you know they are belittled, they are shamed right now. There was this Gillette ad a couple of years back. So what I'm trying to say is, like, they were trying to shame the masculine,
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
the toxic masculinity.
Okay.
We are now being shamed everywhere. Like, till now it was just in the public, or different places. Right now it's in advertisement too.
Yeah.
So that is what I'm trying to say, like this masculinity was born from the natural desire of a man to provide and protect the family. That is
Hmm.
what they are trying to take away from you.
Hmm.
A dad dropping his daughter to the school and kissing her a goodbye. That's masculinity. That's masculinity doing good. A
Hmm.
firefighter protecting a kid from the fire. That is masculinity doing good. Nobody's talking about all this stuff. But yeah, we got to talk about toxic masculinity for sure.
Yeah, yeah. We need to talk about toxic masculinity, where it has moved from being a masculine nature to becoming a toxic nature, which is, coming more often than not. What
Yeah.
we used to see earlier. See this, Rusty. You mentioned one particular point. There is a natural, there's a primal instinct of a man to protect and provide. Now, with the changing mindset, with the evolution of the human being itself, that role itself is getting challenged. That role itself is under question. Whether only the man who is going to, provide or who is going to protect, are women not capable of doing that themselves? So, when
Sure,
you
no one
take it to
is.
the extreme on either side, whether it's on the feminism side or you take it to the extreme on the, the men side. So what is coming out is on the both sides, the toxicity is coming up and it is being aggressively pushed. Now, what happens now, as you rightly said, the majority of the population is not vocal, and the social media has given a platform to these kind of. Even I see some of the comments on my post. They think I am against toxic masculinity or I am against masculinity. I am not, guys. Please, I am not against men. I am only talking about the aggressive or the extremism of it. We will be talking about the extremism of the other gender also, but that is not the point. That is not the discussion topic of discussion here. We are restricting ourselves to what men can do, what they are capable of doing, and whether they are achieving their true purpose on this planet or not. So that is the topic of discussion. So it is not that we are passing a verdict or we are trying to put some of these guys. What is his name? Shivam, Akash. I am not trying to belittle you guys. You can be as toxic as you want. I
Yeah, I mean,
am not here to hold you accountable for your actions you did. Perspective to why people are being labeled as toxic in spite of their being only showing their natural nature, as Rusty is clearly pointing it out, right? So the idea is not belittling the entire gender or the entire group of 50% of the population of this planet, but trying to understand where this is coming from. So what my researchers says this toxic masculinity, it becomes aggressive. It comes from the childhood conditioning, the traumas, the abuses, the people like Shivam or Akash might have faced in their life. So they start to exhibit certain kind of emotional behavior, right? So that emotional behavior, if not properly channelized, it can lead to any kind of outburst. So these outbursts does not remain verbal at particular till it doesn't remain verbal. It can get into a physical violence kind of thing. It can self harm. It can get into the self harm kind of thing. So where is this coming from? It is coming from their childhood upbringing, as someone has pointed out. These guys, couple of guys who are just keep commenting about my personality traits. I don't care whatever they are writing about, right? So these kind of people who are getting conditioned, who are directly or indirectly, consciously or subconsciously, that they are superior to someone else. They are superior to a major gender on this planet. They are superior to 50% of the population on this planet just by virtue of being born male. That is where the masculinity start getting bad. That is where it becomes toxic. They are not understanding, if even if you refer to our Puranas, we are talking about Shivji as a Ardhanarishwar. Everyone has a feminine side, as Suyash has rightly pointed out, and everyone has a masculine side. And we are just trying to, and we are, as a men, they are just trying to suppress that feminine side because it is seen as a weak side. It is seen as something if we exhibit the feminine characteristic, it is seen as someone being simp or weak or he's not man enough, he cannot satisfy his woman or whatever. So all these kind of label are being put on some people, and some people take it seriously, and that is where the toxic behavior starts showing up. So it is coming from your conditioning, it is coming from your childhood abuses, it is coming from the trauma that you have faced, it is coming from the internal weakness, it is coming from insecurities that people like Shivam still exhibit. They are internally insecure. Their identity is being taken away. Identity is being challenged rather, not taken away. I have no one to take it away. You can be as toxic as you want to be. So, when these things start getting challenged, at that time, this extreme vitrolic behavior start exhibiting. So, suppressing those kind of stuff, those kind of feminine characteristic is what the society is currently doing. If, why boys should cry, like one of the students was asking me, why men are not asked to cry, why they are asked to suppress the cry, कि मर्द को दर्द नहीं होता, बच्चे नहीं रोते. Even from our childhood, we have been told not to cry because you're a boy. Girls were always encouraged to cry. हाँ तुम लड़की हो, तुम रो सकते हो. So where is Suresh, this thing is going to lead to? Like where is the end? Like I know where that pattern is coming from. Where is that behavior is going to lead to? Because I clearly see it is going to be a self-abusive, self-destructive behavior for the perpetrator, the people who are following toxic masculinity. So where do you
So
see it is going to go to?
yeah, I think like as you already pointed out, Ravinas, that it's a other extreme, right? So you're preparing from for the other extreme to like even from your childhood itself, and this society plays a very very important role. I think that's where we as a healer has an important role to help them break those conditioning and policies, and help them to how one should embrace those feminine side. Like as few days ago, I came across a client and who didn't know actually how to embrace his feminine side because he was never been taught, he was never been allowed to do that. So that is another issue, which we see a lot of with people who are having a lot of different dysfunctions. So if that is so, as there's a very good quote, feelings which is buried alive will always come in another way of dysfunction in the body. And as you also do a lot of mental work across with a lot of our clients, so I think you must have also seen that that phenomena, that pattern itself in most of the men itself. So I think that needs to be really addressed. And of course we as a healer need to help them to embrace their feminine side and help them to how to do that once we do that, then the change will start to happen, and then they will create more men to be like that man, right? So that is the thing which needs to be, I think, understood and come across out of it. Of course there are a lot of other like if you see ads, movies, a lot of media plays a big role in conditioning all that stuff, right?
Yeah, if you watch Bollywood movies, like woman
Exactly.
has very minion role, and guy is
Yeah.
doing everything right from fighting with the villain and
So
making
I
money
still
and taking
remember
care.
that Mard movie of Amitabh Bachchan. When I
Yeah.
saw that in my childhood, I also thought of writing Mard on my hand and like Mard ko dard nahi hota kind of feeling, and I was so obsessed with that. When I saw, and it had a great
Yeah.
impact. But as I evolved in my consciousness, in my growth itself, then I tried to see and break those obstacles.
Yes.
But a
So
lot of men are not able to do that, right? So that's what we need to target, and we need to address that.
yep. So
So
there is a question, Rusty. I think I should direct it to you. Why are men taught to be possessive and controlling about women? Like, why? Where is that desire coming from? Okay, I have to be a protector or I have to be a provider. Especially with the changing role. Like earlier, there was in some few when we were hunter gatherer, there was a role. Like woman needs to take care of the kids and they need to be at home to cook, and men used to go and hunt animal and bring it back. Now, if the roles have reversed, like most of the things what men can do, equally capable girls have become. So where
Yeah.
why we are still being taught you have to control, you have to possess, and there are so many rituals, so many practices which are being followed blindly by majority of the population, which actually indicate this. Okay, this man is your god. Like man is supposed to take care of you. Change name of a woman after the marriage. You're supposed to change your name. You're supposed to wear some sort of these gadgets, or I wouldn't say gadgets, some sort of symbols that you are married to a man. Men is not supposed to have those kind of symbols going around. So why we have been taught now with the changing world, women are equally capable of doing everything. Why we are still being taught, okay, be protective, take care of your woman, and possess her and provide for her. Where is this coming from?
See, I think this providing and protection of the family, it is an innate desire. It is natural. It's a part of the masculinity,
Yeah.
and that is what I'm saying, right? Like coming back to this, the whole term toxic masculinity. That's the sigh of there. But yeah, coming back to this, um,
So forget the term. There is a fundamental question. Okay,
yeah,
why women are
it
subject
comes
to?
from the natural desire of the man to provide for the family. That's why they are trying to be possessive. They are just trying to be protective because that is
So
something
you know that underworld
very
term of
natural to them.
protection, like underworld term of protection, I will protect you. In return, you give me something, like
Hmm.
which you may not like. So,
As in like
so
what?
you know हफ्ता देते हैं underworld का जो term है protection money.
Uh-huh.
So you're protecting your woman, you're providing for your woman. In return, you're supposed to provide something.
Like what?
So
Sex?
anything like you have to be subjugated to me, you have to be dedicated to me, you have to be loyal to me, you have to follow whatever I told you to do.
I mean, see, if a person has to command his woman, then the relationship is already
So
broken,
where is
right?
that command coming from? Why do we need to command any other human? Forget woman. Why do we need to command anyone for that matter?
Absolutely, we are free human beings, and
Yeah.
that is what we are doing in our lives, right? Trying to find the right partner and figure out stuff where we do not have to explain something and the other person just understands.
Okay, so you are living in some fairyland, Rusty. Come
I have a great relationship.
You don't have to explain anything, and the other person is supposed to
Absolutely,
understand. Wow. So there is one
majority of
more
the time.
question. Okay, this one goes to Suyash. Like, how would a man or a boy be ready to release emotion through crying? Now, see, this question is again, very pointed question. The release of emotion, why it has to be through crying only? There are so many ways of releasing your emotion. You can meditate, you can connect with the universe, you can do so many other things which actually connecting with yourself, which indicates your connection with yourself itself. So crying is just an expression of releasing your emotion, but that is not the only expression of releasing your emotion. So taking that question in a proper context, so what are the ways in which men can express without being judged, weak, guilty, whatever? I mean, since childhood, so many people put so much of labeling around boys crying and boys doing kitchen stuff or cooking for their families. So many things people, I mean, the boys avoid doing just because they don't want to get labeled as wimpy or as some kind of sissy or something, whatever it is. So, what are the ways in which we can express wish or emotions?
Yeah, so of course, as you said, pointed out, crying is one of the ways, right? One of the primal ways to release out emotions very easily. Even I do that. Whenever I have so much of like emotions being suppressed, or if I have a need of it, right, from time to time. But I have also discovered, there are other ways as well. And if you see the root of it, it's again from it again lies in your, when you're born and when you are babies, you taught there that you don't need to cry. Why are you crying? You've been given something to distract, getting distracted from others, and your crying has been always been suppressed.
Yeah,
So again, there are other ways like being creative, doing painting, art, work, anything. Like for me, it was majorly discovering my passion as a healer. Helping people heal, coach them. That was one of my way, and to connect with them. Secondly, it was doing activities which you also, I think, beautifully tells when in your coaching skill session, which I learned from you, especially like cooking, creating arts, other stuff as well, to help those emotions to beautifully express on whatever it can. It could through the art, in your kitchen, through food, in either ways. But Yeah, definitely crying is one of the very good way of releasing out emotions. And even I prefer and I'm in favor in that, like, to release all that psychotic emotion. That's a very very easy way to get out of it, because
So
that
is
really
it easy for men to cry? Like women can cry. Like we know everyone around us, like so many girls and
it's
women in
very
this.
hard. Even it's very hard for me to cry in front of anyone, because that again that happens into your childhood conditioning in your genes itself. You cannot show your inferiority in front of anyone, because you
Mm.
feel very inferior to that. And then men that cannot do that, right? That's what you've been taught. So I generally do, what I do is, like, I either grind with alone, or with my partner, because that's a very safe place which I have, which I can harbor my expressions.
Yes.
But it's hard. But once you start to do that, that's what I told, that once you start to embrace your emotions, when you start to accept that, then it will become easy. It will be very easier for you to express that. So I think that's what we need to do, and help people embrace that change. And
Yeah, rightly put, Suyash. I mean, this is something which I practice, but there is a flip side to it. Like I have experienced both sides, so I can say if he, like Rusty will bail me out here. When I started expressing my emotion, or expressing the feelings that I have inside, there is a class of women who would exploit that to their advantage. And in my relationship I had that fair share of relationship where my weakness or my feminine version was always exploited. Like I always like to take care of the family, the kids, the cooking part, or even crying was very natural to me. It was always exploited by the other half. Like, the kind of woman I had dated in the past. I am in a different relationship now where I freely express and I don't have that fear of getting exploited or getting judged, or आगे जाके कभी तो भी you cried that time so you have to pay me this. That sort of thing is not going to happen anymore. But there is a class of women who exploit these weaknesses, or rather these characteristic traits of men. And how do we identify, or how do we protect ourselves in that case? Rusty.
Yeah, I think first of all you need to, as Suyash was saying, and I will agree to that, that we have a feminine side and we have to embrace it for sure. There is no denying in that. And as you were saying, yes, there are women out there who will, you know, who will put you on the pedestal for showing the emotions.
Yeah.
So there is a very thin line, and you need to be very, I will say, your discerning ability should be very strong in figuring
Yes.
out your partner. Okay, it takes a lot of time. That's why I usually tell people that a guy should, like, you know to figure out where you are, like, they need to have one breakup, okay, and they need to
Okay.
get over it so that they figure out what's up in life. So
Okay.
that is absolutely must. And that's what improves your discerning ability, right? Like, you can, as you rightly said, like, crying in front of some woman did something wrong, and as Suyash is saying, he is able to do that with his partner. So how do we differentiate between the both? Discerning ability, you need to figure out, you need to have more experience with, go out, talk to women. you know People are not even going,
Yeah,
are
I,
not
I,
even
I
talking about
learned from my
emotions.
experiences, but it was a like very long battle to learning
Yeah,
from our own experiences. Maybe we have to find out some shortcut to it.
there is no
But
shortcut to it. This experience
so there is,
cannot be shortened. You have to
so
go out,
there
talk
is
to
one
women.
question from
Yeah.
Manisha. She's asking how can upcoming generation about can be taught about मर्द को भी दर्द होता है, and experiencing that emotions are absolutely fine. I think Suresh has fairly addressed that question in the last topic. But any other thing that you want to add, Suresh, here before we move on to the next one?
no, I think that's a very very fair point. You need to understand that, and like बात को भी दर्द होता है. It's not that it doesn't happen. And
हाँ
like my
दिखाते
wife,
नहीं है, पता नहीं क्यों
yeah,
रखते
my
हैं.
wife very well says that वो मर्द ही नहीं जिसको दर्द नहीं होता. So I
Exactly.
think
Yeah.
so that is something we need to understand, and I think that's what we need to help them embrace their feminine quality, and that they will, in the end, when they will be evolving at the end.
Yeah. So to be fair to men, I mean those who are not toxic, unlike some of the guys we have seen on our chat today. So fair to men, there is no mechanism or there is no process by which they can express themselves without a fear of getting mocked or getting exploited or getting retributed for something. There are no forums. Socially, it is not accepted. Within the peer group, you will find women can talk and cry about anything, anywhere with anyone. Men don't have that kind of comfort anywhere. Like even the men themselves don't support each other. If someone is going through shit, they can't be emotional, they can't be open, they can't be vulnerable. In most of the other men's company, they are more protective or more guarded, even in the company of other men. I have seen men becoming more comfortable, more vulnerable, more unguarded in the company of women. So within the main community, within the masculine community itself, there is no safe spaces, there is no forum, there is no proper acceptance of this particular trait that मर्द को भी दर्द होता है.
Exactly.
And we have always been taught कि नहीं होता है, and that is what this is leading to this masculinity aspect, which is proving to be a toxic not only to the society at large, but even the people who are actually practicing it. So people like Akash or Shivan, they need to be conscious. They need our help. I guess they can seek help from Suyash and Rusty to understand masculinity in a better way, and that makes this topic more relevant. So, Rusty, what are the ways in which we can express this toxicity? Like you have been very active on social media. You have seen people. Like we are seeing people here chatting and talking nonsense. So there is this is one way of expressing that toxicity. What are the other ways that that violence or that aggressiveness comes out when people don't find, okay, this is not enough, I have to do more,
Yeah.
so I have to show more toxicity, I have to show more masculinity. So what are the other ways in which this kind of people, this small minority which is defaming the large majority as per you, so what are the other ways they can find this expression?
I mean, see, if a person has a lot of aggression, he should channel it right.
Mhm.
Probably join a gym, join a boxing session, MMA classes or something. Take out your aggression there. Chat is definitely not the place. You are just being a keyboard warrior. So I would not recommend
Yeah,
doing
I
that.
like that word keyboard warrior. Like,
Internet keyboard
yeah.
warrior.
So there is a
Yeah.
joke by one of the stand-up comedian. Let me. It's going to be a masculine joke. Okay.
Yeah.
So after Geo has launched their free internet services, people have their penises in one hand and keyboard in another. So
That's good one.
they are doing shit and they are talking shit all the time.
Yeah. I mean, you can't help the keyboard warriors for sure, but for the rest of the people who are listening and who want to, figure out how they can channel their anger and stuff, I think boxing will be the way. Yeah, boxing is
Yes.
good. Like, yeah.
So one more question from the audience: doesn't it become exhausting to always hold the fort or always be in protective defensive mode? So Rusty, again, I have seen you from the close quarter. Okay, you have to be protective, you have to be provider, and doesn't it take a lot of toll on you? How do you carry that burden on your shoulder?
I mean, once you realize, it's that it's not something that is forced on you. You have to do it. It's
I mean,
necessary.
why? Why
It's
you have to do
necessary
it? Why do you take so much of
because
burden on yourself that you have to take
there
care
is
of other
there
person,
is there is no other
other whole
way.
person?
That's how I feel it is. I think you gotta see a man. Everything,
So the
most of the
question
things are.
is it exhausting?
It is, and then that's where, like, I will say, people need to connect with their feminine side. They need to figure it out. They need to work on their shadow self. That is extremely important, and that is something I've learned from Mukta. I'll not deny this. That is something I've learned from Mukta, and working on your shadow self is extremely important for anyone. However masculine you might be, however feminine you might be, you have to work on your shadow self, or else you will not grow. You will not receive the download from the God, because you have to evolve, right? And for evolving you need to accept your shadow self. You cannot just keep denying those thoughts which keep popping in your head. That is extremely important. uh, Again, coming back to this question, I think there are a lot of things on men's shoulder. Okay. They have to take care of everyone. That is true. I'm not denying that. And I'm saying that has to happen. There is no other way out, right? कितना भी आप डिनाई करने की कोशिश कर लो, okay, नहीं ठीक है, men will not take care of it, the other person will do, which is great. I think there should be a good partnership. Both the partners should be, taking care of each other.
Right.
But to be really honest, it's a lot on the men's shoulder. Okay, so we need brothers.
It is exhausting, right? You need
Yeah, we
support.
need brothers.
Sometimes
That's why we need
Yeah, we
brothers
need
in
support. We
life.
need to build
Yeah,
community around people who want to shoulder so many things, and there is no support system.
absolutely. Brothers are a must. That's why, like, you cannot have like 50 friends. You need to have a couple of people in your life who you realize are really true. You should have that discernment ability. And yeah, like you can, have a shoulder there where you can cry on, you can tell anything you want to. That is extremely important. Having brothers for a man is extremely important.
Okay, there is a question from Ronit. He is asking, does the definition of masculinity changes with age for men? If yes, how has it changed for you all? So, I mean, you guys are young. I am the oldest one, so I'll take this one.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So, the masculinity, the definition, there is no definition of masculinity. What has the society has always told us, this is what the men are supposed to do. So, what men are supposed to do has always remained a constant thing. what has, what changes over a period of time is as you grow old, what men are supposed to do, like you are in a position of say son, so you are supposed to do certain things. Now you are in a position of a father, so your son is supposed to do certain things. So only the role changes, the gender remains same. See what society expects you to do, that is the definition of masculinity, because on our own we don't go and find out what is it that I want to do. Forget about masculinity or femininity. We don't even know what I want to do on this planet or what I want to achieve in this life. So when we are not defining those masculinity traits to ourselves, society is going to do that for you, and society is only doing it for depending on what position you hold in your life. Suppose you are a small child, you're supposed to do certain things. You're now a grown-up boy, you will do all these things. You're a man, you will do this thing. You're a father, you will do this. So all these roles are assigned by society, and they keep changing, but they still remain with the gender. The gender is the man. The man will do this in spite of there being other gender which is equally strong, equally capable of doing those stuff, but the society expects you to do those things. So that is where, so once people start understanding what is their role in the entire ecosystem that this planet and the entire universe is made of, then they will start questioning everything. Why this role is to me? Like Rusty is talking about, I have to do this. I have to take this on my shoulder. I have to do it like this only because I am expected to do. So who is this? Who is putting it on his shoulder? Who is expecting him to do? That is what the entire atmosphere or entire the conditioning is all about. So when we start looking at ourselves, when we start, are in giving role to ourselves, what I am supposed to do on this in this lifetime, what I am supposed to do as a man or as a masculine gender, what am I supposed to do towards a feminine gender, what am I supposed to do to address my feminine instinct. So that we have, everyone has to go through that journey on their own and find it out for themselves. And accordingly, you have to create that balance. There is one more question on how to attain that balance between your feminine and masculine side. So there is no proven formula. There is no dictation from the right from our Puranas to even now. There is nothing. Like everyone talks about men are supposed to do this, women are supposed to do this. No one talks about balancing that feminine and masculine aspect within your own self. And as long as we don't do that, we are not going to change how society is pushing this thing, imprinting this thing the time you're born, right? From that moment, even the time you're conceived, from that moment on, everyone around you is trying to put you in a box, giving you ideas and definition and rules to follow so that you don't waste your time. And we are actually taking it as a gospel truth, and we are not questioning it, we are not debating it, we are not talking about it. So that's all, Ronit. I think that addresses your question. So there is one more question from Itisha. She's asking about how do you become a man of value? Suyash, what do you think? What is value? Value
By discovering
is
your purpose, that's the biggest thing I think, which we need to discover, because the sooner you discover your purpose in life, why do you exist, the more valuable you will become as a man. I'm not distinguishing or differentiating it between different roles which one man has to go, but it's majorly the vision, its purpose, which drives everything else on its ship, on its journey through making a kingdom, right, or building a kingdom. So once you discover purpose, I think that's where you become a man of real value to almost not everyone else around you, but to this universe, to this existence. I think a
There is
little bit.
one more question. This is very interesting. When the role is reversed, what happens? Men looking for house, men looking after the house, and woman earning for house. Now there is a movie Bollywood. I'm a big Bollywood fan,
Yeah.
so I watched a movie called Key and Cow, something something. So there is this guy Arjun Kapoor and I think Kareena Kapoor. So they reverse the role. Like everyone is capable. So the girl said, "Okay, I'll go and make money. You take care of the house and other stuff." And the same thing happen. What happens with men doing making money and the woman taking care of the house? I mean, that is a movie still. So what do you think, Rasti? If role is reversed, like you are supposed to take care of the house and your partner goes out and makes money and provide and protects you, what do you think will happen?
I'll give you an example and won't comment further on that. Let's say there is a World War tomorrow. Okay, what will happen? What do you think will happen?
No, World
Like
War
you
is
have to
okay.
literally you have to go out and fight.
Okay.
What is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? That's all I'm
So
going to
now,
say.
okay, women are also there in the army. The women can fight between themselves. Why do men
Sure,
have to go and fight?
sure. If you think
No,
that
not
is
think.
going
I
to
mean,
happen, for
every
sure,
army has a woman division now. They can fight among themselves. Na? Who has stopped?
sure.
Like, I am against all kinds of war, but still, if there is a war and all the countries in the world decide, okay, men is going to fight men and women are going to fight women, women can have war between themselves. We don't need to be
War
trapped.
does not happen. They do not tell you that women are going to fight women or men are going to fight men. That is not how war works, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I think Mukta is a great question. How do you draw a balance between the feminine and masculine, the anima and the animus aspects of yourself? Suyesh, would you like to go first?
I think I'm really not much aware about the those aspects in my experience, but I'll try my best to answer
Sure.
that. The only way I know is, of course, to embrace both qualities, and then go with those qualities, and then let your heart be the navigator and between the right and the wrong, and being the way and draw the balance out. And I think that's my way. Maybe Avinash, you can add your inputs, or see you can.
I am as enlightened or as ignorant as you are, Suez. We will talk about this more. Okay,
Yeah,
there
I
is one
think,
more. Yeah, there is
yeah,
one
just
more
quickly.
question. I think there is a comment from Saurabh who is talking about masculinity is what makes man run into a burning building and save the lives. What Rusty was talking about, fighting the war. The world right now needs more of it. I would suggest the world needs more of people who don't like war, not the one who go and fight. And problem is not only the toxic masculinity, but also the absence of it. Okay, he's trying to balance the extreme polarities between feminist movement and the toxic masculinity movement, or whatever you can make sense of it. If that thing exists, suppose there is a left wing, there has to be a right wing, right? That is what the entire thought process is all about. If there are, small number of women who are uh, extremely feminist and they are trampling on men's rights, there has to be a toxic masculinity aspect to every person's to protect for themselves and to provide for themselves and to fight wars and run into burning building. Do we really need toxic masculinity to run into a burning building? What you need is you need to have that empathy, you need to have care, you need to have love for the people around you so that you can jump into a burning building and save lives. You don't need to be toxic for that. You don't need to be aggressive for that. You can always be loving, kind, compassionate, and still. I won't recommend anyone fighting war, but you can still fight war. Like there are ways in which war can be fought without actually making it about men and only men can fight war. So I think we have covered a lot of things. So is there a way out, Suresh? I mean, we talk about therapies, we talk about counseling, we talk about so many things. Like if person realizes, okay, I am into this road of toxicity and there is no coming back, I have to just go through it. Like and again, I am giving you an example of Underworld based on my Bollywood movie experience. ये रास्ते पे जो निकलता है ये वन वे रास्ता होता है, इसमें वापस आने का कुछ चांस नहीं है, एक बार आप गोली मारना शुरू करते हो. Is this toxic masculinity is also on the same path? It's a path of no return. Like you can only become better or whatever, bad at it, and as bad as you get, more of it.
See, I always think that life gives you better chances and second chances. No matter how far you go, there is some way. If universe wants you to exist, definitely it will try to help you to get out of it. Only thing is you need to realize that and ask for help. Ask right person. Take support of right people, and ask for help. Help is the biggest thing, right? Realizing that and asking for help. A lot of people don't, even when they realize it, they will try to push them into that their shadow parts, and then they will not ask for help, because they will think that it is an inferior stuff, right? No one talks about it. No one should be asking. All will think that I am inferior. So asking for help and taking support, and I think that's where
So where is the help available? Like people like a lot of people want to be healed or help. So where do they go?
so see
Should we share your number? They can reach out to you and understand.
Yeah, it's majorly you and Muda who does a really great job of helping people heal, especially their mental coaching through our minds that matter stuff. Also, making sure taking all the like enough nutrients, supplementation, which we have talked almost in almost every our other lives as well. But mental coaching becomes very very important. I think that's where you and Muda comes and plays a very very important and crucial role there.
So
So.
what I've again one more thing I've observed is these some of these people I have encountered in my life personally or on other platforms. They're deeply insecure within themselves. They are not sure what exactly they're doing. They have this always. They have to be in alert mode. Always they are in that aggression mode. Always they are in this mode where they just want to vent it out, fight it out, or just talk crap or do anything, whatever they want to do. So, Rusty, has it got something to do with this? The testosterone level you always talk about. There is a depletion of testosterone level. Now, to make up for it, you show the false brevity. Okay, you become overtly aggressive. You become overtly, violent in your action and word. So, is there a link between these two things?
Yeah, I mean, insecurity definitely. I will say there are a lot of people who are insecure and who will take out their frustration on, whatever they get their hands on, right? So there are that kind of men, and if you are trying to compare that with, are you saying is it because of the excessive of testosterone
No,
or
the less of testosterone because they are
definitely,
feeling that
yeah,
they are feeling that insecurity inside. "Ki, I'm not mard enough,
yeah.
so I have to show more of it." So,
Yeah, I mean, because they are frustrated, also they are weak, also, and then they have low testosterone levels, so it's like
it's a deadly combination. No?
Whole,
it's a
yeah,
deadly
So what can
combination.
we do to improve testosterone level?
Definitely get more sun every day.
I knew that
Yeah.
answer.
Get sun
So
every day.
Suyash is actually getting sun
Eat
right now.
eat a lot of fat, good fat, saturated fat, fish
Yeah.
also,
Get your
and
blood
get
work
sun
done.
because
Take omega-3
your
supplements. No.
312 nanometer UV lights instruct your cholesterol to make vitamin D in the body, and vitamin D is a precursor for having good optimum testosterone level. So that's a must. Apart from that, yes, take if you can't eat seafood, definitely should be supplementing with krill oil. Krill oil, iThrive essentials, cleanest stuff you will ever find
No, no
anywhere.
selling here.
Clean.
Sorry, bro.
Magnesium, yeah, magnesium is extremely important. Again, like I'm not trying to sell you anything, but magnesium is extremely important. So you need to take that as well, and yeah, of course, eat a nutritious diet and work out. Yeah, if nothing is working out for you, and that has to be like there's some missing factor. Work out.
Yep. So that was lovely interaction and lovely questions from the audience. I hope we have tried. We have covered almost all of it. We have tried to cover what exactly, where is the origin or genesis of this toxicity coming from, especially on the men's side. We are not going to talk about the feminine side as of now. I mean, we are not capable.
Yep, we will
They're the
someday.
different world altogether. We will find different panel of experts to do that. But lovely interaction, Suyesh. Lovely interaction, Rusty. Thank you
Yeah,
for all the insight. Thank you, audience, for lovely questions. Keep joining in. Keep join
yeah.
us every month. First
Before we go, I
Tuesday.
have a final quote to say. Before
Okay,
we
go
go,
ahead.
okay, it's a quote. I don't know who has written it. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good
Hard
time.
time. Okay.
Good time create weak men. Weak men create hard time.
Wow.
So yeah,
I would like
masculinity
to
should.
add
Sure,
a
sure.
quote to that as well. So a man will not be a really a man until unless he will accept its feminine mode or embrace its feminine side.
That's a good one. Yeah,
So
I
yeah,
agree to that.
Yes,
just
it is there everywhere. So thank you all and keep watching us. We actually interact every Tuesday, every first Tuesday of the month, and we take up topic like last time we talked about the sexuality, and now we will talk, today we talked about the masculinity aspect. The topic which are relevant to the men, topic which are relevant to the masculine gender, and we will have this interactive discussion and interesting discussion. Keep joining us, and we will see you next month's first Tuesday. See you all. Thank
bye
you.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.